Knows Death, starring Nicole and Jemmy and Maria QK.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mother Knows Death. On today's episode, we are going to talk about actor Eric Dane, who died this week, and some of the controversy and drama surrounding his death. We have an update on Brandi Glanville and the, quote, parasites living in her face. And then we have a couple of true crime stories involving truly horrible parents. All that and more on today's episode. Eric Dane.
All right, so Eric Dane, aka McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy, has died at 53, less than a year after revealing that he was diagnosed with ALS.
So amyotrophic lateral sclerosis is ALS.
Or Lou Gehrig's disease for us regular people.
Who calls it that anymore, honestly?
No one.
But it's when the motor neurons that are coming from your brain and spinal cord are damaged and they are not they're degenerating and they're not interacting with your muscles properly. And when you start first presenting with symptoms, it's just like a low-grade muscle weakness, but it progressively gets worse, and usually in a pretty quick period of time. And you soon like lose the ability to move all of your voluntary muscles. So you're not able to walk, you're in a wheelchair, and that's fine. That's all good. But once you start not being able to use the muscles that help you breathe, that's when it starts to become a problem and life-threatening. And your diaphragm that you use to lift up your lungs to help you breathe and to clear mucus from your airway, you can no longer do it. And then usually that's what ends up being the cause of death in these people. You could have, because you can't, when you get that like you have to clear your throat or something, that stuff just sits in your lungs, and then you're at an increased risk to get an infection, and that could usually be what kills you in the end with ALS. Or you simply just can't lift your lungs anymore and breathe. So it's a death sentence, honestly. It's a devastating diagnosis. We had a close friend of the family who had it and was dead within 2 years. It was terribly awful to watch this perfectly active, healthy young person go from that to what happened to him over the course of those years. It usually occurs sporadically, meaning that there's no underlying genetic component, but in some cases, I think it's 10% of cases, there's a genetic component and it runs in families. So I'm not sure what happened with Eric Dane. When was he diagnosed? Did it say? He couldn't have had it long.
He revealed 10 months ago that he was diagnosed with it. I don't know if that's just when he found out or if that's when he went public with it. He was 53 though, so that's young, really young to die, but like this is the average age people are getting it or diagnosed with it, right?
Oh yeah, Steve was in his 30s probably when it happened. I think he was in his 30s when it happened. It's just awful. And when we it first started with, he kind of already had it on his mind because his dad had it.
You mean?
Steve's dad had it, and Steve's dad died when he was a young kid. And he actually started getting the same exact symptoms. It was just like he was totally fine, and then one day his voice started going hoarse. And it was just kind of like, oh, this is weird. I'm going to get this checked out. But he had said to me right away, I remember when it happened, like my voice started changing, and that's what happened to my dad. But then I was kind of like, don't go there yet, because you could get like voice hoarseness from reflux.
Yeah.
And the chance of ALS being genetic is so low, so I just was like, don't go there right now. And then he just started getting all these tests, and then he was like, it just went down so fast. He started getting weakness in his legs, and they did all these tests on him, and they figured out that's what he had. And it just was so awful. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's terrible. So when you get, with the exception of like Stephen Hawking that lived forever with it, like usually when you get it, you're dead within 2 years of your diagnosis, and it's awful that any person has to go through that with their family.
It's kind of crazy Steve was so young, because like one of my teachers was diagnosed and died from it after I graduated from high school. But I feel like she was in her late 60s, early 70s when she got diagnosed.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
mean,
crazy the spectrum
I
of
don't.
ages.
I should have looked this up before recording, but I believe the genetic one may present earlier in
Okay.
life, but I don't want to say that 100%. That might be the case. But yeah, I mean, his dad was the same exact age. He was in his early 30s when he died from it as well. So, I mean, we know a personal case of that happening. That's actually the only person that I've ever known that has had it. But just to watch, I mean, like, we all know this guy from Grey's Anatomy. So it's like, you know what he's like. And just to watch a 53-year-old person as a totally healthy person, and you're sitting there going from active and everything else to now where you're at, which is wheelchair bound. I think that he was supposed to go to some kind of event and then said he couldn't even go. I mean, you lose the ability to talk, you lose the ability to eat. It's just, it's awful. It's awful.
I mean, I can't imagine. It's like literally watching and experiencing for those people, your body deteriorating slowly day by day. It's terrible.
And it's fast, and it's like, I mean, people have to help you with every single aspect of your life, and you have to go to a million doctor's appointments. It's just terrible. So, all right, so I guess when this all went down, he was like in the midst of a divorce or something.
My understanding is that they've been separated for a couple of years and they're still technically legally married, but they're not together, even though she was like by his side after his diagnosis. And he had a girlfriend during this time that their first public appearance was over the summer, but people were saying they were together longer than that. But I guess hours after he died, Netflix dropped his final interview. I guess that was something that was pre-planned, where he was kind of talking to his daughters about how much he loved them. But then I read in this that he also said the ex-wife was the love of his life. And then the girlfriend went on to post a photo montage of them together after he died. And people on Twitter are like, I would not be posting these loving memories if my boyfriend said his ex-wife was the love of his life in his final interview.
Well, you have to understand, like, he clearly in the final interview he was talking and stuff, so it was not really anytime soon that was recorded. It was recorded a while ago when he was still able to speak and everything. It's not like it was recorded last week. Like, that guy was on death's door. Like, he was probably not talking, in a wheelchair bound, not able to carry on a conversation like that. So is it possible that was recorded when he was dating that chick for like a little while, and then, you know, it got more serious? Or maybe it just didn't. Like, maybe they just didn't ever go there, you know? Like,
yeah, I understand.
You're with a guy that says he's going to die next year. I mean, you're going to be there and be supportive, but it's like it's not like you're doing anything else. Right?
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so I don't know the particular like way
I heard the interview. I mean, it seemed very romantic and like almost like just let it be known that she's the only woman I've ever loved kind of a thing. I could see why people are like, yo, you had a girlfriend. I'm just saying that it could have been recorded prior. They could have just been newly dating or something at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it reminds me of when Pamela Anderson's book and documentary came out, and she also said something, not verbatim. She said something along the lines of Tommy Lee was the love of her life, but she also understood they could never be together. And then everybody was like, why would you say that? He's married to another person and everything. But,
well, it's because, number one, you could say it if it's true. And number two, like, there is a certain level of it's like, she's the mother of his children. And that's something that might make his children happy to hear that, because
yes.
Even though they weren't together and stuff, so there's more to the story. And honestly, I mean, just because they weren't together, they could have still been friends. Like, there's a whole other aspects to the thing. And maybe he just don't care about the bitch. I don't know what to say.
Is it possible that, I'm asking you this, do you think it's possible to have a quote unquote love of your life without it being like romantic? Somebody that you genuinely love, like for the example of Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, like again, they were in this crazy whirlwind romance. They had this extremely traumatic thing happening to them, and then they had 2 children together, and they have maintained a good friendship throughout their children's lives. Their kids are my age. So think about being friends with somebody for 30 years that you have children with and everything. Like, is it possible he could be the love of her life in a non-romantic sense?
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know how these Hollywood people do.
I'm just asking a question, but I mean, things aren't going so great in the Tommy Lee Brittany marriage anyway. I mean, she was having like a relationship with somebody catfishing her online. That's a whole other conversation we could get into on YouTube this week if you want. But whatever.
I do want, actually. I'm curious about that. So, but as it pertains to this case, so okay, so the wife retracted the divorce, but they didn't get back together. She just retracted the divorce, and she seems to have been there semi for him in his last days, which, like, you have kids, like that's the right thing to do. That's actually a really good example to show people, like, remember one of the stories we were talking about last week, that that woman that was found dead in the hotel room with her daughter at that cheerleading competition, and these parents had to have like scheduled drop-offs in front of the police station because they couldn't even talk to each other. Like, maybe his wife like hates him, but like it's the right thing to do, and it's kind of shows that she's like a decent person to like stay around, and because for her kids' sake too, you know?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't Kelly Clarkson doing that with Brandon Blackstock? He treated her horribly, and she was there for her children. Sometimes it's more important to be there for your kids and put your personal shit aside. That story last week, I've been thinking about it a lot. Just the parents that can't put it aside to just have the decency to exchange the children. It's insane that you have to do it at a police station.
It's sad for the kids. So, all right. So one more layer on top of this story is that I fear a new trend is starting, and I don't like it, and it needs to end like right now.
And it's the celebrity death GoFundMe.
Yeah, it really is. Like, let's like mark it on our calendars that it started with this Vanderbeek guy last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, which everyone was getting in a tizzy about. Like, we didn't say James Vanderbeek was like, you need to start a GoFundMe for his family. We were saying it was outrageous. It was started for a wealthy person, whether he had something to do with it or not. And it's happened again.
Well, yeah, whoever's starting it, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just, we need to just end this trend. So as of today, Eric Dane's GoFundMe is at $425,000. Like, you know, this wife that we keep talking about, I recognized her name. She's the freaking Noxzema girl from the 90s. She was like the face of 1990. Like, they are fine. And he was on Grey's Anatomy. Like, they don't, I just think about all of the people we're talking to right now. There has to be somebody very close to you that just died, and you're not getting $400,000 when you very well probably need it way more than these people do.
But it's like a friend of the family started it for them, and I think this is the trend we're seeing here, is that people are starting these funds as some type of like, I have to prove that I was close with this person, not because it's what the family actually wants. And that's what's weirder to me.
Somebody donated $50,000 into that GoFundMe. It's annoying because you're like, regular people don't get a
GoFundMe is for regular people that don't have financial resources when tragedy strikes them. It is being abused. The whole system needs to be overlooked.
Well, it gets abused. It gets abused by regular people too.
No, it totally does. But like, this is getting out of control. And like, it was started by a friend who's of course super defensive about it, as was the person that started the one for James Vanderbeek. Like, I just think it's bizarre. for a friend of the family to start it when it doesn't even seem like it's something that the family wants.
The friends are just like, I feel so bad. They can't live in a $5 million house. They have to live in a $3 million house.
Yeah, but you
It's
know
just,
when
like,
somebody
such a
dies,
downgrade.
you know when somebody dies and then all of a sudden everybody's their best friend. I
Yeah,
feel like
well,
it's like that situation.
Yeah, I've personally witnessed that. So, all right. So, okay. Brandi Glanville.
The update everybody was waiting for. Probably
I
nobody
was
but us.
I was waiting for it because you know what? She was saying that she had parasites in her face, and I was saying, no, you don't. And this one was a little bit shocking as to why she said she had them. I originally thought it was because of whatever possible stuff that she was injecting into her face that was causing it. But so I am surprised with the outcome is, and it is possible. So why don't you talk about what happened, and then we'll get into the medical aspect of it.
So she was saying that after they filmed Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip in Morocco, that she had this parasite in her face, which also I called out as being convenient timing because there's a lawsuit in which she sexually assaulted one of the other women on said trip, and now nobody's ever going to see this show. But I don't know. I thought this was a distraction at first, but clearly she was going through something. So now she said that her breast implants ruptured and she had silicone all over her lymph nodes, which caused an infection in her face.
So I still don't think she's right with the description, but she's getting closer. So, all right, she said she had breast implants put in over 20 years ago, and she did say that she is supposed to get them replaced. This is like a really good lesson for women because she's supposed to get them replaced every 10 years, and she goes and gets regular mammograms, and there was no evidence that they leaked. So her theory was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I know plenty of women that think the same exact way, even though they are recommended to get swapped out. So she didn't get them swapped out. She's had them over 20 years. And it wasn't until they did a sonogram or like an ultrasound on the breast that they were like, oh my God, they ruptured and they're leaking and this silicone is disseminating in your lymph nodes. So what happens is it goes into your lymphatic system, and the cells that are inside of the lymph nodes called macrophages that are there to clean up dirt. We've talked about this before with like they clean up and they grab onto tattoo pigment, and that's how your tattoos stay there all the time. So it's cleaning up this foreign material of silicone that it can't digest, and it gets stuck in the lymph nodes, and it's traveling through the lymphatic system, and the body is causing a foreign body reaction. So I was saying that, you know, sometimes people get illegal injections like in their lips of actual silicone and stuff, and you could have a foreign body reaction to it. So your body's just like, I don't like this. I don't want this here. And I'm building up a wall around it. So that's kind of what happened in her body, that she's getting these like subcutaneous nodules from this, her body like freaking out and rejecting all of this silicone in that's spreading throughout her body. It's really rare for this to happen, by the way, especially now, because back in the 80s, the silicone implants were made with like a liquid silicone and they ruptured very easily. And now there's better coatings on the outside of the implants so they can't rupture. Like, you know, this one that I have on my back shelf here, I noticed that it's ruptured on the inside because the kids play with it like it's a squishy toy. But the gel still isn't leaking out of it yet because it's got so much protection on it that, like, if it was in the body, there's a tear in it and there's a defect, but it still wouldn't be leaking inside of the body. They're just made like that. So I'm pretty sure that she has the better implants. She has to, because I wrote a high-profile dissection years ago on just breast implant illness, silicone and saline breast implant illness. And I did a lot of research into it. And in the 1980s, they had this liquid silicone, like I was telling you. But then by 1992, they were pulled from the market completely because so many women were having problems with implants that they were like, we're going to have to take them off the market and figure out what's going on. So in 2006, the FDA allowed these new breast implants to come onto the market that were silicone, that had the special outer shells that were supposed to encase the silicone. And the silicone's also more solid and less liquid than it used to be. I'm going to tell you, because I've gotten the really old ones from old women that just never got them removed. And they're the best ones. They feel the most natural, like a boob, because they're like liquid. They're liquid silicone, and they just, when you touch them, you're like, oh, that feels more like a boob. But the solid ones are not as good as those, but they're not as safe, obviously, so they had to get rid of them. So that's in 2006. They just started letting them come back on the market. Well, what was that? That was 20 years ago when she got them. So they have to be the newer ones that she has. She's not that old, right?
No, she's in her early 50s.
So, there's been, just like everything else that the government tells us is safe, and then all of a sudden it isn't. So they've been telling us it was safe for a very long time. And now they're like, okay, the FDA is saying that here's all the complications that are associated with breast implants, and that's why I wrote this article about breast implant illness, because there's so many women that are like, I got really sick and I took them out and I was fine. And like, it's just, it can't be disputed anymore that it's a thing. Some people have absolutely no issues with them. Other people are like, have issues from the time they get them in until the time they take them out. But some of the possibilities listed on the FDA website include rupture of the implant, lymphedema, lymphadenopathy. So this is what we're talking about with her, because the silicone could actually block the lymphatic channels from draining as well. So it's a combination of your body reacting to the foreign body, your body not draining lymphatic fluid. And like, she's so young and her skin is just like, I don't know if that could be fixed.
Don't you think, like, she's been dealing with this for 2 years. Don't you find it unacceptable it took that long to figure out what was causing it?
Well, I know that she was either on Botched or someone gave an explanation of it. And was it
Harry DeBro?
It possibly was him. I don't know which one it was. But he said around the same time when I was talking about it, when we first reported it, however long ago, he said the same thing I did. Like, he thought it was a foreign body reaction too. So remember I was saying, like, all they got to do is biopsy and try to figure out what's going on. And maybe they didn't want to biopsy her face. I don't know unless they did biopsy her face and see the silicone deposits in the foreign body reaction. And then they were like, where is this coming from? And then they said, let's ultrasound your implants, because it has to be coming from your implants. That's very well what could have happened. And then they figured out that it was in fact ruptured, and the MRI missed it. So she was doing what she should have done, except getting them replaced. But I know so many people that are like, I'm not getting them replaced until I need to get them replaced. But I say this all the time when people get breast implants, especially when you're in your 20s. It's like, you're going to have to get multiple sets of those throughout your entire life. So I know you want to have really nice boobs now, and then you do when you're 40, and you might even when you're 60. But then it's like, there's a point, like, especially when you're 60. And so I know, because I'm 46, and I'm just kind of like, the last thing that I want to do is get some surgery that I don't even really feel like getting. Because,
I really don't think people know this going into it at a young age.
They do, because the doctors tell them when they get it done, but they just don't think, they say, okay, whatever, like, I'll deal with that in 20 years or 10 years, whatever. I don't think you're supposed to get them replaced every 10 years either. I feel like it's more every 20 years, but I could be wrong about that.
I think it is 10.
10 seems like, I feel like we would have to ask Dr. Kylene about that, actually. Like, that would be a question for her, because I'm not sure exactly what the time period is, but it's just to be known that they need to be replaced multiple times in your life. And let's say 60 years old, you're like, I don't feel like it, I'm getting older and whatever. Well, what if you live to be like 80, 90? Then,
yeah, I don't know.
You just don't want to have issues from that. So it's just something to think about. I mean, plenty of people have them and have absolutely no issues. and that's it. Like it's just like with everything else. Plenty of people get IUDs and have no issues, and other people have terrible issues. It's just some people, and like I personally think if you're a person that has like is prone to autoimmune stuff, and you you have allergies and things like that, just your it means your immune system is really, really strong, and I feel like it's just going to freak out if you get a foreign body. Like it's just going to be like, I'm not having this here.
Yeah.
And Brandy's face it's deformed. I mean, I hate to say that. She was not that she's not anymore, but just like she had like an extra pretty face, and her skin is destroyed right now from whatever her body's freaking out about. And plenty of cases that we have in the gross room showing that's it's embedded under your skin, and it's not easy, if not impossible, to get rid of.
This episode is brought to you by The Gross Room.
Guys, the Gross Room sale is ending shortly, and it is $20 for a whole entire year of gross. You get all of our past posts and all of our daily posts that are coming up in the future. For that, we do YouTube live every single week with really, it's all of our Gross Room members could join into the YouTube live, but especially Mother Knows Death fans as well, because it's Maria and I. And we talk about things that we don't talk about on this show, plus just inappropriate things, whatever you guys want to talk about, conspiracy theories, just straight up making fun of people, whatever. That's pretty fun. Our high profile death dissection this week was Kurt Cobain. And we also have special incentives for people who are members too. Like, we are having this event coming up, and we're going to have special discounted tickets. I think there might be a special version of my book just for Gross Room members when that finally goes on sale. And what else do we have for Gross Room members? Oh, we have special edition Gross Room merch for Gross Room members. So,
oh yeah,
check that out.
Head over to thegrossroom.com now to sign up.
All right, so now we're getting into our segment of disgusting parents, horrific parents.
Maybe this should just be the theme of every Wednesday's episode going forward as terrible parents. I mean, there's more than enough stories every week to cover this. So,
I know.
First, a mom has been arrested after leaving her 2 toddlers with an Uber driver for 2 hours to go shopping.
So she gets an Uber and shows up in the Uber with these 2 kids, and the driver said she had a liquid that smelled like rum. So so she was drunk, and she got in and was continuing to drink with these little kids in the Uber, and then just was like, I'll be back in a minute, and was gone for 2 hours.
Yeah, so she gets in the car with the alcohol, and then when you take an Uber, it takes you on a guided route. So she kept telling him to make turns off the route, and then she eventually was like, just cancel the ride and I'll give you cash, which it seems like he did, which I don't think should be allowed, especially if you're in the middle of a ride like that. But whatever, that's what he did. And so eventually they pull up outside of this mall, and she gets out and says, I'll be back in a couple minutes, basically. And she just gets out of the car and walks away, leaves these 2 kids in the back seat. So I think he was just really in shock of what happened and was like, okay, I guess she's coming back. Like, what am I going to do with these children? So he waits over an hour and then finally calls 911 and tells them what happened. The cops finally get to the scene, and she didn't come back for a little bit after that. So it was a 2 full hours she was gone from the kids.
It's not even like just you're leaving them in the car with a man that's a total stranger, like little children that are vulnerable to anything. You don't know who that person is.
And her excuse was that her phone died. What does that have to do with you leaving your children in the car?
So she just went shopping?
But it didn't look like in the body cam footage that she had anything with her. She just like went and walked around a mall.
I was just wondering if she was meeting someone, because like, why was she yelling at him to be like, you're going the wrong way, pull over, whatever. Like, maybe she was trying to meet somebody. I don't know what she was doing. I mean, clearly she was drunk, and I guess it's responsible that she didn't get in the car and drive with the kids drunk. But so what happens? So she gets arrested. Like, is she losing custody of her children? Because
Well, the kid's dad wants full custody now, so I'm sure there's going to be a whole court case over that. But her bond was only set at $1,500 for each charge, so she was charged with 1 count of child neglect and 2 counts of desertion of a child. So what's that, $4,500 for each count? And she's already out. That's nothing. I mean, she certainly should not. It didn't say anything if she's like immediately lost supervision of her children, but I would think that was fair if she did.
You know what? One time recently when we were in San Francisco, we were taking an Uber and we got stuck on, I swear to God, it was the most inclined hill in existence. There's just no way that there could be a deeper incline. I don't even remember the name of the street. It just was
how
like,
did they even build the house?
I don't even understand. It was so like you're in the car and we were stuck in this traffic gridlock and it's uncomfortable because you're on that angle. Like it's literally uncomfortable to sit in the car like that. And we were stuck. And, Gabe being Gabe, he was just like, get out of the car right now. We're walking. And I was like, okay. But we just like left the Uber in the middle of the ride and just like, I don't even know. We were just like, we can't deal with this anymore. And it was really annoying. But so I don't know. Like, listen, like, I'm surprised there hasn't been some kind of like a book or confessions of Uber drivers. They probably see the craziest shit, especially picking up drunk people. Like, God knows what they see.
Yeah, you're right. That would be a really good book. I mean, they get
I want cred.
They get attacked a lot. Sometimes they are attackers themselves. A lot goes on. I mean, people puking in the cars, the weird stuff people must do. I'm sure people have sex in the back of the cars.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that because it's your own car. Like, if someone threw up in my car, oh my God. Like a kid, you're like, okay, whatever. But like, and if an adult threw up in my car, I'd be so pissed because that smell is just so pungent and like you can't get rid of it. It's terrible.
And it charges the passenger. So if you have an incident where somebody throws up, I should ask for, Ricky used to drive Uber when we first started going out. Yeah. Remember his minivan?
Oh yeah.
That he had? He used to drive in that. I should ask him. He stopped because he was like, I hate this and people are assholes and I keep getting in the middle of situations I don't want to be in. But I think if you have an incident where somebody throws up, you like can file a report and then the passenger will get charged $200. But that's like, I don't feel like that's enough money to clean it up. And then, so what if you wanted to drive for a couple more hours? That's all the money you were going to make that night. You can't make now because you have to go get your car cleaned out because somebody puked in the car.
Yeah. Screw that. All right.
No,
All right, so the next horrible parent is a mom who I guess just like apparently left her family just cause.
Yeah, so this story is so weird. So on December 9th, 2001, this 38-year-old woman's husband said she left their home in Eden, North Carolina to go Christmas shopping at a Virginia Kmart, but that was only 30 minutes from their house, even though it was across state lines. So she never came home. But she wasn't officially reported missing until 2 weeks later, which I thought was kind of weird, don't you?
It's very weird, but
yeah. But
it was, when was it? 2001? That wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that wasn't
I was going to
ago.
be like, that's the 80s. But it's not even the 80s. Like,
she looked like the 80s from her picture.
All right,
but
that's exactly why I thought that. So clearly, like, she might have done something like this before. That's what I would think if they didn't report it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, because I thought that tidbit was important and very odd. But basically, this entire time, they've never lost faith. They've been looking for her since 2001. And then police said they got a tip just last week. And then the next day, they were able to make contact with her to determine she was alive and well. She's living at a location she asked them to not disclose to her family. And it's just very bizarre.
So, right, and I guess, like, because I was thinking about this with, like, if right now I just was like, hey, I'm going to Kmart and didn't come home, like, I'm allowed to just go start another life and leave my kids because they're with Gabe? Like, how does that work? Because, like, I mean, like, I was thinking that out loud, and then I'm like, well, men do that all the time. They leave their family all the time, and, like, you never hear,
Yeah, like, left to get cigarettes and never came back.
Exactly. So, like, like that, because the children were they minors when it happened? Like, it's just like an interesting question.
Yeah, I mean, she had 3 kids, and the the kids are saying the dad's been great this whole time, even though he's been accused of horrible things over the past 2 decades.
Of course he was. Why, you know?
Yeah, of course. And then, like, I guess my question is, like, and I take it back to that kayaker dad guy, right? What was his name? Borgwart or something? Remember, it was something funny.
The one that faked his own death?
Yes. So, like, my first question is, like, can she get charged with wasting police resources because she was a missing person? But then I think in that guy's case, on a technicality, she did not stage a kidnapping or a murder or anything. She just disappeared, as did that guy. But I thought he did get charged with something.
He got charged because, but he staged his death, and like first responders had to go in the water and like drain the lake, or they had to like not drain, what's the word I'm looking for, like they
were trying to recover him.
They were trying to recover him, and they put like nets in there and try to like pull things up, and
Okay, yeah, so his case is even more a little advanced than hers because he did stage a scene. Like, in her case, it seems like she just went away. So, like, I don't think she could get in trouble for anything, technically, because the kids were in the custody of their other parent. For all we know, she could be saying, like, I told him I was leaving and he just didn't hear me, whatever, whatever excuse she's gonna say. But yeah, I think it's very bizarre.
But even if you tell someone, like, you're like, I'm just allowed to leave and just be like, oh, not my problem.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, legally, it sounds wrong. As long as someone else is in the room taking care of them, like, I don't know. It seems like something you shouldn't be allowed to do. So, but I guess you are, because she's allowed to remain anonymous now.
Well,
how do the kids?
She has to know she was declared a missing person, right? Like, there's no way in which she just left and started living another life and then. I don't know. It's very weird.
Add this to the list of things that you can't do in 2026. Like, social media now is just like, that wouldn't have been able to happen now.
So her motive for doing it has not yet been released. I mean, a possibility crossed my mind. Like, maybe she was in an extremely abusive marriage or something and she saw this as her only way out. But then at the same time, if that is true, you left your kids behind then to potentially be abused. So I don't know. I think it's weird. And then the daughter wrote, quote, as far as my opinions and feelings on my mom, I'm ecstatic, I'm angry, I'm heartbroken, I'm all over the map. Will I have a relationship once more with my mom? Honestly, I can't answer that because I don't even know. And that's really sad. It's really horrible to make your children and your husband think you've been missing for 25 years only to just be living like a totally separate life somewhere else.
The saddest part is that she is not like, fuck her. Like, she really should have that attitude. You put my father through this, you put us through this, you're dead to me. Like, she shouldn't even be happy that she's found alive, honestly, under these conditions. I just like
but do you think it's some form of in denial, like she's been looking for answers her entire life and then you're just like, I just can't believe this is what's happening.
I don't know.
That she chose to leave us and wasn't just actually a missing person for 25 years.
I don't know.
It's really terrible. And right before Christmas, you're going to do this?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, she's a massive scumbag. Like, why would you? And like, she didn't look for you. She still hasn't been looking for you, and she doesn't even want you to know where she's at. Like, you got to learn how to cut that off.
Yeah, I mean, they certainly cannot try to have a relationship with her. She is terrible.
All right. No one beats this guy, though. He's like an extra terrible.
This is an older story, but it's so disturbing. So this father was found living in a storage unit with his 2 daughters and the dismembered remains of his wife.
So I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I guess he told his wife was pregnant, and it seems like his story is that she died giving childbirth.
Well, first he said she tried to kill herself, and then he said, no, never mind, she died during
childbirth. Okay, let's take his story at face value. So he says that she died during childbirth, and he tried to flush, or successfully, he did flush the placenta down the toilet. And then he was with her dead body. He didn't know what to do with the dead body. His kids were there, so he took pictures with his wife and the kids with the dead body of his wife. And didn't want to just leave her here in this hotel that they were staying at, so just decided to cut up her body and put it in a cooler and bring it with him to this storage unit, right? And there's CCTV footage showing him with this cooler with the body parts in the cooler. So this is what he tells authorities when they figure out that he's done this. They looked at the body parts and said that they, which I don't know why, but they said they couldn't determine if the wounds occurred before or after she died. I feel like depending on how good he cut up her body, they would really be able to get a picture of what happened. Like especially if she had just given birth, like they could do things. 'Cause like if you die giving childbirth, there's going to be evidence of that in your body. Either you bled to death or you had an amniotic embolism or something. They would be able to test that if her body, if like part of her, at least pelvis, was intact there, they'd be able to tell what happened to a certain extent. So,
well, this seemed like a really messy scene. So, like, she died, and then they were saying that he spent 8 hours dismembering her in this, I guess they were in a motel when she died, and he spent 8 hours dismembering her in the bathtub, and then he was flushing all of the parts of her he could down the toilet, while also, quote, skinning her like a fish. So, like, God knows what these remains look like that they retrieved. And they weren't even able to determine how she died either.
yeah. And I mean, I guess like if he really, like I said, like if he cut her up, because typically when people dismember a body, they cut up the arm, the torso usually stays pretty intact, and then they cut up the arm, the arms and legs and the head, and it could fit in a much smaller package, right? But I guess according to like what size cooler he has and stuff, that's when he could have started hacking at the torso, and that's where the problems lie, that you can't really determine how the person died. So I don't know how they can't determine that if she was dismembered before or after she died, because that is something that they would be able to tell. But regardless, they said they couldn't tell, and it's just disturbing. Like the kids were in the other room when this was happening?
Well, there was 2 kids, so one was 2 years old and one was the newborn baby. So I don't know where they were when this was happening. I mean, even if they were, hopefully they're just so young they don't remember anything at all. This is horrific.
So he's never been charged then, at least with homicide.
He's in jail, but they have no evidence proving he killed her. And
So-
like I was thinking of the Brian Walsh case, but like there was enough evidence he had some involvement, right, with his Google searches and everything. Like they don't know this guy killed her. They have no idea.
He was straight up just like, oh, this is like my kid's mom. I'm not just gonna leave her here.
Well, all right. So it starts getting weird because he defended his actions, saying he was scared the kids would be removed from their care because they allegedly had 6 children together and that the police had, quote, stolen our children before. And then he handed over his phone as evidence to try to prove his innocence. And they found explicit pictures of teenagers on the phone. So now he has to be a registered sex offender, like, on top of all this. This case is all over the place. But he only got a 9-year prison sentence.
So he got a prison sentence for abuse of a corpse, basically.
Sentenced on 3 felony counts of sexual exploitation of a child, as well as misdemeanor counts of child endangerment and contributing to a child's misconduct.
So he got in trouble more for the pictures on his phone, and then just like, and some of those pictures included like him taking pictures with the dead wife with the kid.
Yeah.
Not actually like cutting her up and all of that stuff.
It doesn't seem like it.
Wow. Where is
And,
this
like,
at?
And it was in Kansas, I think, and back in like 2019, I think, is when he got sentenced to the 9
I don't know
years.
why this I never heard of this case, and I just saw someone covered it in a news story this week, so I was like, oh, let's talk about it. But it's
Well,
an
I'm
older
more
case.
worried that he's getting out soon.
I know,
Like, when
right?
I'm like, wait, 2019, while it seems like 5 minutes ago because we lost years of our lives due to COVID, I'm like, that's actually coming up pretty
And I wonder
quick.
who has his kids.
I don't know. And he said something about flushing the placenta down the toilet. I'm like, how? I guess if he cut it up.
No, I mean,
Isn't that pretty big?
it's big, but you can I mean, really, if you have your hands and it's not fixed, you can just rip it apart. Or you can, it's like the consistency of like ground beef or something, like a hamburger. It is.
Guys,
It's not like when you cut it like you cut it and the slices look like a steak, but really it's not. It's like if you had like
it's like crumbly.
It's more put together than crumbly, but it is pretty crumbly. Like it's not. That's why it's nice to cut it when it's in formaldehyde because you could get better slices of it because it's just doesn't stay together really well. Like I don't really know how else to describe it. I would think that it's most described as like if you had ground beef and you like packed it together and made like a hamburger the size of the placenta and then you cut it, you'd be able to have slices, but it's not very like stable. Like you could smush it with your hands.
This reminds me of the summer you made me intern with you at the hospital, and my very first day, you were like, "Look, a placenta," and you just held it up, and it looked like a giant jellyfish. So disgusting.
And then you saw like 7,000 more after that because we got so many every day. There were days we would get like 15 or 20. Like,
do you get
terrible.
every single one from L&D?
No, most hospitals don't take everyone. They only take ones that there's a problem. So like if you have a totally normal delivery, like they won't send it to pathology. But if you have like, there's all different things. Like if you have a multiple birth, they always go to pathology. If you have chorioamnitis or if there's a tumor, anything like that, if there's a 2-vessel cord, like all different things, then they send it to pathology.
Well, I'll make sure to write on my birth plan that it's getting handed directly to you.
Yes. Please. It's going right in a jar in my office.
All right, guys. Well, we have our event coming up in April with the Center for Forensic Science Research and Education. We will have more details about that in the coming days, so please keep an eye out for that. Please head over to Apple or Spotify, leave us a review, subscribe to our YouTube, and if you have stories for us, please submit them to stories@motherknowsdeath.com.
See you guys. Thank you for listening to Mother Knows Death. As a reminder, my training is as a pathologist assistant. I have a master's level education and specialize in anatomy and pathology education. I am not a doctor and I have not diagnosed or treated anyone, dead or alive, without the assistance of a licensed medical doctor. This show, my website, and social media accounts are designed to educate and inform people based on my experience working in pathology so they can make healthier decisions regarding their life and well-being. Always remember that science is changing every day and the opinions expressed in this episode are based on my knowledge of those subjects at the time of publication. If you are having a medical problem, have a medical question, or are having a medical emergency, please contact your physician or visit an urgent care center, emergency room, or hospital. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Mother Knows Death on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thanks.